Alright, so now we've done find one, and talked a little bit about how these queries work. We've had a basic introduction. Let's talk about field projection. So this is an example of find using field projection. So the idea behind field projection is that sometimes when we're doing a query, we may be querying on one field, we may care about certain fields in the document, like for example doc.student, but maybe there are other fields in the document that we don't actually care about. So here what we're doing is the same query we did before, grade, see all the students with grade equal to 100, but we also have this extra thing here. So this is the projection. So what we're doing is we're saying we want the student field, so we say student of 1, and we also say we don't want the underscore ID field. So if you just have student 1 here, then what that would do is it would give you the student field and the underscore ID field. The underscore ID field is a little special. It doesn't get projected out by default. So you actually have to explicitly say don't return the underscore ID field. So just like before, we do db.collectionGrades.find. We pass in the query. We actually pass in the second argument, the projection. And just like before, we say toArray function error docs. So what I'm doing here is I'm just iterating over all the documents. So this is just a normal JavaScript array. JavaScript arrays have the forEach method, and I'm passing in a callback. So this will get called for each element of the array. For each element of the array, I'm logging doc just so we can see that it's actually projected, and doc.student because that's one of the fields that we care about, or actually the only field that we care about in this case. And we actually don't even need to have the grade there because we know from context that this student got a good grade because that was our query in the first place. Alright, so let's actually run this. So we see, just like before, Joe got a good grade, Steve got a good grade. But notice here now that when we log the whole document, we're only getting a document back that has student Joe. So this is nice because we're only sending over the wire and using the network for things that we actually care about, and actually avoiding sending all that data that we didn't care about in the first place. So that's how you do projections using the Node.js driver. Alright, so this is the quiz on using field projection in the Node.js driver. So the question is, which of the following queries will cause only the grade field to be returned? So imagine that in our collection, grades, we have a bunch of documents that each have a grade field as well as an underscore ID field. So the question is, which of these lines will cause our callback to be returned with a document that only contains a grade field, regardless of what other fields were in the document?